Hi there, and welcome to Great Muzzle Geekery. I'm your host, Dusty Red, and with me as always,
Dusty White.
So we have episode 1 in the bag, and we're beginning episode 2, and we're just going to get right into it and start with the weekly news. So we'll start with gaming news today. We have Hollow Knight has finally given an update on their not so much expansion, but a full game into itself using most of the old style of game, but new characters and new abilities and such, all focused around Hornet. I guess she will be the female protagonist in this game. And yeah, it's been about 2 years in the making, give or take. The Team Cherry has announced they wanted to make a game that was going to be a good expansion, but then found out that as they added more and more to it, wanted to turn it into a full game unto itself. So there's no full release on it yet. They just released the teaser video on Valentine's Day. By the way, happy Discount Chocolate Day to you.
Absolutely, to you too.
And so that's kind of in the wait, but they're definitely letting everybody know that Hollow Knight Silk Song will be released for PC and exclusively to the Nintendo Switch currently. There is talks of releasing to the other consoles, but right now Nintendo and PC have the monopoly on it.
Also in game news, Game Workers Unite Union for Game Workers call for CEO Bobby Kotick to be fired following massive layoffs from Activision for World of Warcraft.
That was a big mistake as soon as Blizzard and Activision teamed up anyway. Like, quality just went absolutely down the drain for that. So, other gaming news as well is Nintendo also just released a teaser of their own that Link's Awakening will be released for the Switch later this year. I am personally excited about it. It is a amazing, fantastic game, and seeing it redone, remastered, not just ported to the Switch, but completely redone, is going to be excited. So you get to lose me again for another several months.
Aren't you done with Link? Isn't there enough Link in your life?
I have a lot of Link in my life and various incarnations of such, but no, I am actually I'm almost done with Breath of Seattle. I literally have the very last quest to go kill Ganon, and yeah. So, Link's Awakening will be out sometime this summer. Not sure of the price of that, though, because that's the big point of contention. People are saying, well, people don't want to pay $30, $40 for a game that's the remake.
The same thing they've already played.
Right. I would probably pay $30. But anything more than that, we start going into, I'll just replay Breath of the Wild. So we'll see.
In music news, we have just recently released, as of today, Slash, notoriously known guitarist for Guns N' Roses, is released that they would be doing more music with Axl Rose in a new possible Guns N' Roses album.
Is it still Welcome to the Jungle, we've got Tasty Cakes, Axl Rose, or did he slip down? He's actually doing like
Twinkies and
Twinkies and bad beer.
Twinkie and bad Botox.
Oh, I figured Twinkies and whiskey would be like Twiskies or something. It'd be his way to go.
The 80s cover band.
Ugh. So TV news.
Well, they have recently released a newest Hot Ones episode. Speaking of Ken Jeong and Masked Singer judge, Dustin and myself are big Masked Singer fans and have been watching it pretty much since the beginning. He named Terry Bradshaw right off the bat.
I was embarrassed. I'm a sports fan, so it's like, I know, a geek that likes sports? What? I'm a hockey and football fan. I like baseball. I like most sports, but I recognized that goofy voice, and I knew he did some other stuff. I was like, oh, it's Bradshaw, damn it.
Watched Hot Ones recently with Dr. Ken Jeong. He did a pretty decent job. We're both big Hot Ones fans and like watching celebrities sweat a little bit, and non-celebrities most of the time. But one of our guilty pleasures, along with Masked Singer. We think we know some of them. Justin's got a good call on hoping the rabbit wins. I personally think it's going to be the peacock.
I'm torn between Monster and Rabbit. Like, Monster's got something that's... What did we say? We thought it was MC Hammer?
Possibly the rumors are MC Hammer, possibly CeeLo Green, possibly T-Pain, but I think he's the one that has...
It's not CeeLo Green. No way it's CeeLo Green.
Ah.
No way it's CeeLo. That's Peacock.
the judges are very stumped on the monster, whereas some of the other ones, they kind of have an idea.
So we can go into that. I mean, that's this week's news. We'll cut there, boop, 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 and go immediately right into a little bit of Masked Singer stuff since we're
Already
dancing on
talking
that.
about it?
It's fascinating with the monster that his outline. For those who don't know what we're talking about, the Masked Singer show on Fox that we've been watching through Hulu. You have Hulu, right? We've been watching through there. It's stupidly fun. I talked to a couple people and they were saying that what's the point? There's no prizes. There's no $1 million thing at the end. There's not even like something going to charity. So why is it so fun?
I think a lot of it comes from the fact that some of these people that are choosing to do it, as far as being masked to sing, are people that would not have been taken seriously to attempt to sing, and also they're B-rated celebrities at best. I mean, you've got old singled out host Jenny McCarthy as one of your apparently pop culture guru is what she's tagged as.
Her family grew up down the block from where I used to live.
Right. She married in and is now back living in the area.
No vaccinations.
Yeah, anti-vaxxer.
Hey, no politics. Anyway. No politics or science. Anyway.
She does a good job, and Nick Cannon is kind of not necessarily...
Nick Cannon is Nick Cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
Nick Cannon is Nick Cannon,
Who,
starring as Nick Cannon.
I found out is pretty much one of the richer celebrities that you wouldn't expect.
I would expect it because he's in every damn show.
But also, yes.
Like, I'm the host of this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of B-list celebrities trying to take advantage of getting asked from a network to do something. I mean, Tommy Chong totally said the truth with, like, why do this? He's like, anything to be on stage.
Sure.
They're owning it. They want to do it. Some of them are people that would have loved to have been singers. Like, Tori Spelling came out and was tone deaf.
I think that was one of the more... I mean, obviously, spoilers for anybody that hasn't caught up. Probably announced that out the gate, but you have some people that are definitely had struggles or are known for one thing and want to do another thing. Is it becoming an endearing show because it's relatable in some aspect?
Yeah.
Can you relate to, these are people that
I think more average people can relate to it.
Could look at them and be like, clearly this person wanted to be a singer, but they're not a great singer. Yeah, they became successful in other means, but can that be related to stuff that we do of going, yeah, I wanted to do X, Y, Z, but instead, and because simply they were hiring for ABC, I worked for ABC, but not for X, Y, Z, or do X, Y, Z, or... I mean, I knew growing up I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a baseball player or a cop. That were my two big things, and being like 5'4" and 110 pounds... No, didn't cut it out for. I could be a jockey at this size.
I was gonna say you just couldn't get into jockey. Not a horse fan. I mean,
nah. What's the old saying? There's something dangerous in both ends and crafty in the middle.
All right, moving on. Mm-hmm. So, as if you were listening to this, you're coming up on Oscar season, and Oscars will be in not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after. And Best Picture, some options there for you, or Black Panther, which I personally saw and thought it was very well done by Marvel. One of the more popular and largely grossing movies of 2018.
It's hard to remember that was 2018 as well.
February.
I know it happened so long ago. Like it just feels that.
Right. It came at the beginning of basically the cutoff of Oscars for last year.
And it also came in strong and kind of faded out.
Several months later.
Yeah, but like now you're looking at June, July, August, like just because of all of the other Marvel and other such movies.
Yeah, of course.
So does that become its downfall? Of a movie like Black Panther being so good, then all of a sudden it gets buried by Infinity Wars and all these other movies that are just...
But I prefer to see something like Black Panther be strong enough to stand on its own in the fandom,
no
in
argument
the
there.
Catalog of Marvel movies.
But if they would have waited to release other stuff, would Black Panther have gotten more accolades or more attention, or do you think it's fine as it is?
I think it's pretty fine, or it's competitive as it is basically...
Well, a compendium for...
Got it. I think it's good as it is a standalone movie for a comic book. It represented
graphic novel, easy there.
It started as I think it's one of the more complete stories for Marvel. a beginning, like not a beginning, but basically a beginning, a middle, an end, and a solid story.
Well, even some of the beginning for Black Panther happens not in Black Panther.
Correct. You learn of Black Panther, the character,
In the movie Black Panther, but the story starts before it.
correct.
So,
Next on that docket is Black Klansman, that has your Adam Driver of Star Wars fame. Bohemian Rhapsody, which you and I both saw, and thoughts?
I mean, I loved it. Obviously, Rami Malek's got the facial down, and you can't not give enough praise and accolades for the whole Live Aid scene. Like,
Powerful.
Well, not only powerful, it's just accurate. It's funny to see Brian May sitting up in the rafters and backstage, and you just like, hey, Brian May's watching Brian May. All right, that's cool. But to see how accurate that was and how fun the movie was, it was just really good timing. It was really well done. It was a part that he just knocked out of the ballpark. Like, if he doesn't win, if Bohemian Rhapsody doesn't win, I'll be disappointed, because it's by far one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. And I am generally not a movie and TV watcher, and that just was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was very captivating and interesting. There's another movie, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, which is director for the Gravity fame, and A Star is Born, which is starring Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, which I believe is also a remake. And then, interesting enough, and I did not believe it when I saw the previews for it, Christian Bale as Dick Cheney for Vice.
I heard that was good. I have not seen that. I want to see that, though.
I'm interested to see it. That's not usually the type of movie that I go for, but it seemed very interesting. And they say that Dick Cheney comes off as lawful evil, but he was he is good at what he does. He is bad, but he is good at what it's needed.
It's Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Like, he shot a dude in the face. Hunting bird, shot his friend in the face.
And they do talk about it being a movie that they are basically saying, well, this is what we think happened. We don't know. Only Dick Cheney was in some of those meetings, so.
I know that the video that they had of Christian Bale accepting, like, pre-Emmy award dinner and all the other stuff going on, there's something that was recorded a couple weeks ago that had him up there talking about the movie itself, and it was like, obviously it was amongst the other actors, it's not a public thing, and he was definitely a little bit more free on speech and saying, like, yeah, it was a crazy movie, and you crazy assholes for having me up here, and it seems like a silly movie, but in a sense of like, haha, that's funny, that's weird. That probably happened though.
Yeah.
Oh dear God. So,
all right.
That's a movie I definitely would like to see.
Quick, top 3 favorite movies.
Shite. One of the top 3 for me is always going to be Emperor's New Groove. That was always a fun, like, fourth wall breaking, silly, just, I don't know, character acting. David Spade playing David Spade. Well done.
Right. Like, as a llama.
Yeah, as a llama too. Braveheart still touches a chord for me. Having the Australian play a Scot is weird, but the movie itself is just cinematically epic. Huge movie and bigger than... It's a fun story. I mean, not a fun story. Like, yeah, torture and lost wives, and it's a good, happy time. But it's a fun movie to watch. Powerful and moving and everything else, but it's just a really neat movie. I mean, part of me says I want to go into the Star Wars stuff, but...
Favorite. Like,
yeah, that makes it, because I can't. I mean, if I'm gonna sit there and watch over and over and over, like, I'm still an Empire Strikes Back guy. I've always been an Empire Strikes Back. That's one of the things that got me, because it was like, oh, look, and not a happy ending. Like, I'm down for that. Of course, could look in my CD or my DVD. Look at my Betamax tapes and find out which movie I like. I'm gonna wait on the third one. What about you for 2? At least for 2.
I would have to say top 3 favorite movies for me. My favorite movies have to be rewatchable, meaning I can throw it in at any point.
Oh,
I can't even narrow it down to top 3. I'd say easily top 5 are Hackers. Old school favorite of mine.
Hackers.
I loved Hackers. to me holds up well, but again, it's awful if you're actually any type of
computer programmer.
Boondock Saints is another one
That's
of my
classic.
all-time favorites. I know some people don't like certain scenes in that movie, but it is still one of my very favorites. Princess Bride is a childhood favorite of mine. I've watched that one probably numerous times that I couldn't count. And anybody that does know me, 4 would probably be Hocus Pocus.
Of course. Amok.
And then 5 would probably be The Prestige. Anybody has not seen The Prestige, I will not ruin it. It is a very classic.
That came out right at the same time of the other friggin'
The Illusionist.
That was the big thing, because you had Huge Jackman was one of them.
Correct, and The Prestige.
Norton? Was it Eddie Norton?
Edward Norton.
Yeah, Eddie Norton was in The Illusionist. So there were, I think I preferred The Illusionist, actually.
I think I've only seen The Illusionist once, and it was one of those things that was way after I had already fallen in love with The Prestige.
So we're gonna go into. I mean, since we mentioned Huge Jackman, what about his portrayal of P.T. Barnum in The Greatest Showman? That is a very rewatchable movie, and they've won awards for their soundtrack.
It is rewatchable. I have a tendency to not necessarily enjoy the story it portrays. P.T. Barnum is not a good person.
And even half that stuff didn't happen until he was like in his 50s? 50s and 60s?
Along those lines. But the soundtrack, on the other hand, is amazing. And I listen to that pretty frequently as just something to throw on
music.
while I was sometimes running to a couple of those. But it is a good soundtrack, and of course they've done the reimagined with local or more famous people doing the songs, like Pink and Panic at the Disco lead singer and things like that. So good soundtrack, but no, not really one of my rewatchables. So to go into kind of going off of people that are reimagined or going.
Oh, I know where you're going.
The previews that have been going around and the memes that have been written, what is your thoughts about Aladdin, the live action Aladdin?
This is obviously a big deal. This goes into a multi-level topic just because you start breaking down into a number of things. Number one, just from the little preview that was kind of shown, like, the CGI doesn't seem like the best. Like, almost Green Lantern-esque with...
Keep in mind, that's only the one show.
Right.
Or the one intro.
I agree. And immediately, one of my friends, like, pulled me aside and was just like, what do you mean the CGI doesn't look good? I'm like, it doesn't look good. And he's like, well, how would you change it? And I went, duh, hire a real genie. That's the only way you'd be able to do it. But, first off, like, the thing that actually caught me, even on that, just like that 1 minute clip, the fact that Jafar is too pretty and his voice is too high.
Listen, some girls have always grown up wanting Jafar to be... I wanted my mascara and my eyes to look on that point just like
that's
Jafar.
That's fine.
Okay?
And I even watched the thing where it talked about, like, when they made Jafar, they made a point of drawing his mouth bigger than his face to add to the malicious, like... The only person I can think close to that is, like, Reba McEntire. That has a smile bigger than their head.
Okay.
But they kind of did that to enhance, like, the character. So, like, Jafar's supposed to be old. It's supposed to be typical bad guy. Like,
right.
He's made to be an antagonist. Straight out the gate. No argument. No possible moral dilemmas. Like, here's a bad dude, and even his parrot is bad. Played by Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh.
Great comedian, terrible in some aspects, which is why I love him, but it's very clear. You look at that and go, these are the bad guys, this is what's going to happen, and that's fine. So all of a sudden you have Pretty Boy going, oh, Aladdin, steal the lamp, like, ooh, no, he's supposed to be dark and scary, not like tea and crumpets with the lamp, like, thank you. Aladdin, I mean, on a off-topic or off-camera, off-mic conversation we had of, I mean, they didn't whitewash it. Like, we did looked up some more stuff, and it seemed like a lot of the actors are of Middle Eastern descent or whatnot. Now, are they from, obviously some of the Reddit stuff was blowing up of like, well, they're not from that exact area. Like, oh, jeez, you know. now you're getting mad at a New Yorker
You're
playing
still not
a
getting, Hawaiian playing Mr. Miyagi.
right. Yeah, half of that. So you don't have the blatant whitewashing going on, which is fantastic, and they do have
Moving in a good direction.
It's moving in a good direction, but they also are looking for talent outside of just I don't know who else playing this. Now the big thing that obviously starts to come up, and the thing that drove me nuts about it, because it's clearly not just me. We looked up on YouTube just a few minutes ago that the 1 minute trailer has 5 million views, 4 million views,
something like that,
close to that, and 40,000 of the thumbs up or likes, and almost 60,000 thumb down dislikes. Which again, small sample size from 4 million, but if you're getting 60,000 people to say no, I don't like this, you have to ask why.
What are the reasons?
Now, obviously, I made the Harry Potter joke of, is it a case of how dare you stand where the great Robin Williams stood? We're going nostalgia here. Is it a case of us as... Because it's kind of marketing to our age.
Ish.
It wants to get our age in the door. We have kids. Well, I don't have any kids. You don't have any kids. But our age has kids. The 30-somethings have kids that are going to go see this. Assuming they're going to be 15, 14, 13 years old at least, they're going to want to go see this. Will Smith is kind of our draw. They kind of get us in with hey, remember he was running around with DJ Jazzy Jeff and
Well, but he is a actor on his own. Mind you, he does get typecast as just that guy in a lot of his movies.
What's the last solid movie that Will Smith put on?
Trying to think. Man, I can't think. I mean, I know he's doing Bad Boys 3.
Which, it would be fantastic.
I know that it would have been, well, not fantastic movie, but it would have been Suicide Squad.
That was a bad movie.
But, no, I agree, but I'm just saying that's kind of where he went off as. He hasn't really been typecast recently as that.
It's then funny
character.
that you mentioned that movie then, because this also goes into a mini conversation that we had on the side of, is that in the same vein of with Will Smith playing Genie, that was played by the great late Robin Williams, people giving Jared Leto the big poo-poo and thumbs down on playing Joker after that role was knocked out of the park by the late great Heath Ledger.
Which also had so much controversy of how dare he try to take on the Joker. Even when you've had greats like Jack Nicholson and other people playing the Joker, Mark Hamill voicing the Joker through animated series. How dare Heath Ledger try to take, you're this rom-com pretty Brit boy coming in and trying to play this character, and comes in and blows it out of the park and literally plays the epitome of chaotic elemental.
Chaos. Yeah, a chaotic evil type character. But even Jared Leto admitted, and that's why he took his vision of the Joker by going with more street savvy or more
white trash thug.
Yeah, trailer trash thug. If you want to go look that route of just kind of goofed in the head rather than the criminally insane. Because you have to look at Joker from the original Batman Batman with Michael Keaton, where Jack played a Joker that was a little bit more intelligent, I want to say, that wanted to do more corporate evil, lawful evil in the sense of I'm going to take over these corporations, I'm going to do this, I'm going to infiltrate the makeup industry, and I'm going to do this and this. Whereas then you had Ledger's Joker, which was just absolutely apeshit crazy. Genius in his own right, because he had these crazy elaborate plans, which was encapsulated in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Correct.
And then you have, which I have not seen Suicide Squad, but I do know that the Joker concept in there was also a little bit on the crazy side, but a little bit more planning. But the movie wasn't around him. It was just a set piece.
A lot of his stuff actually got cut because he was a
set piece. He was a set piece to set up the other Batman, who I don't even want to name because I don't like Ben Hooflick and taco flavored kisses. But
taco flavored kisses were my man.
Ah, jeez, taco flavored kisses for Ben playing Batman. it's just a different vibe. So we go back to Will playing Genie. How much of it is us as old, Aladdin fans saying, "How dare you stand where Robin Williams stand?" Or are people just not going to notice? Is the movie itself going to be bad just because of it being a live action reimagined? Because again, I asked the question: is it going to make money? And I did the history on it.
Disney's always going to make money.
Yeah, Disney's absolutely not. They're not going to lose money on this movie.
Some of their live action movies are been very hit or miss.
Sure.
I've seen Cinderella. It was not. Cinderella was eh. Beauty and the Beast I thought was well done.
That was with Emma Watson?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It does a very good job of actually filling in plot holes that you don't notice until you're much older for some of the Disney movies.
Fair.
I personally am more concerned about what atrocities will come from the Dumbo live action that will be recent.
And that's a personal thing for you, I know.
Just slightly. And then you also have Jungle Book. Jungle Book did a really good job. Actually started Jon Favreau's basically career doing these live action Disney movies.
And a lot of these remakes did make money. Now the question that I pose is it almost skewed? Because you look at the numbers on these movies that came out, even 101 Dalmatians had a remake and that did well. A lot of these movies have, I don't want to say no key or star actors, voice actors, but there's really, for the time they were stars, but there's very specific voice actors. It wasn't really until like Fox and the Hound had
Corey Feldman, Mickey
Rooney,
Kurt Russell. And so they had some high-powered caliber stars, but all of a sudden you roll into like that mid to late 90s of Disney movies, and now you're starting to knock it out of the park with, Robin Williams playing Genie. You have Angela Lansbury
but even
Potts.
then, that's the only voice in that movie. And that movie had a remake with somebody that was insanely popular right after the coattails of Harry Potter.
Correct. So
you're going to get those Potter fans who have grew up with her and watched Emma grow into a woman, basically, and go from donning the schoolgirl look and the I'm smarter than thou to
she's the embodiment of whatever Belle would be.
Goes into this smart Belle, pretty and big yellow gown and like grown up, but definitely plays that role. So it's fitting on that because you're counteracting Beauty and the Beast's as great of a movie as it is, and as Angela Lansbury was for a star, she still didn't resonate with our age. Like the only thing she resonated with me is I remember sitting in my grandma's couch eating mac and cheese with cut up hot dogs, watching Murder, She Wrote.
So to circle it back around to Will, do you think that Robin Williams, if he was still alive, do you think he would have redone his role and played that role even in a live action?
I don't think they would have remade. I don't think they would have remade that movie
until.
I think it would. I think and that's again the debate here of would they have remade it or not? Like, at what point do you say let's remake this movie?
You have
How many
the
years?
exact same scenario with Mufasa or with Lion King.
The Lion King is where you had Jonathan Taylor Thomas, everybody's little heart throb in those 90s. You had James Earl Jones playing Mufasa.
Which he is redoing for the live action,
which is fantastic. Who's going to play who's playing Scar? Are you going to have
Jeremy Irons?
Jeremy Irons going to play Scar again?
I don't know.
Because Jeremy Irons saying "Be prepared," like. I can't admit this is me being the old man swinging his cane saying, "Get off my lawn." Jeremy Irons ain't singing "Be Prepared." I don't want to watch the movie. I'm out. I'm tapping.
And you might want to check that I'm not, keep in mind you have nowadays Disney where you have Indina Menzel and Kristen Bell, who is voice acting and singing those roles. I don't think Jeremy Irons sung.
Pretty sure. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's a video of him singing as well. That's
really?
His voice, yeah.
Okay. I would be surprised because it was definitely different the more you go back into older Disney where it was
it's
this
easy
is
to
your
do that,
singer,
for sure.
this is your voice.
Well, I mean, even I don't think JTT sang "Can't Wait to Be King" and stuff like that. I do not believe that's his voice in a lot of those songs.
Probably not.
So, yeah, again, is it a case of is Robin Williams just so big? 'Cause that's the other thing too, is it isn't a case of Robin Williams just passing away and the movie becoming old, and it just is like, it's also tragic circumstances that surrounded his death. It's the awareness that was brought by his suicide, and the iconic status that he had as not only a voice actor but as a comedian and as a advocate for depression now, and just being who he is, a larger than life character. It's bold of Disney to go, because obviously they're aware of it. Disney is clearly aware of it when they're going, how do we get somebody as big as Robin Williams? And if you're going to put people on pedestals, like, who's a big celebrity? Robin Williams. Who's as big as Robin Williams? Yeah, frick. We'll get the Fresh Prince out here. Like,
that could have been in an executive boardroom conversation.
You have to, because you can't get anybody less than that. You can't get anybody on a lower tier than Robin Williams to play a Genie type role. Like, especially like, hey, we got this new upcoming app. We're going to get Robbie Malek to play Genie. Like, okay.
Right.
Good times. Like, good for you.
Okay.
So it's just.
And then you got to think of how does Will, and I'm sure he's going to have interviews of it once it actually gets released. But how does Will Smith feel going into trying to fill those big blue shoes? of trying to do.
Cloudy butt feet going on there.
He has shoes at the end.
Yeah, he does. And Genie, I wish you free.
How does he feel? How does he feel going in and stepping in and being like, I'm not going to be able to replace him, but I can do my own.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to be the pre-printed.
Don't got Tyler Perry doing
it's
it
gonna
Medea style.
Jeez. Oh, man. Tyler Perry's going to do... Yeah, no. You're not going to have... He's not going to come out and say, I'm nervous to play this role, or I'm not excited to play this role.
I think he does. I think he's humble enough. I think that's part of Will's...
Disney's all about making money. They would reel his ass back and be like, whoa. You are honored and excited, and you understand you will never fill his shoes, but you are taking it because from what I've heard as well, that it's not going to be a full remake, air quote, but they're going to focus more on, like, the Arabian Nights, like Aladdin and the Tales or whatever it is.
Listen,
like that.
I remember version 4 of Aladdin and him fighting with a T-Rex, riding a T-Rex, okay? They can't just retcon all that a child.
I was saying, they gotta have... I don't want to see... I mean, in fairness, Will Smith did ride on a giant mechanical spider, so anything is possible. Wicka, wow. Anyway... So it is one of those things to look at of, are they in a position of, they're not going to lose money, but are they going to lose face? Or is it just Disney?
It's just Disney. I think it's just Disney. I think they're going along with...
So what do we do as consumers? You're going to go see it, I assume?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't see movies, so I'm going to not see it.
I have not seen... I think the only one I've seen in the theater was Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Only because it was so iconic to my childhood, being like one of the first, I want to say, handful of movies I remember seeing as a kid in the theater with my parents. But I don't see myself going and seeing it until it comes more at
Red Box or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I see it too. It's just a case of... And I guess that's where we kind of lose touch here. We don't have kids. So what would somebody our age, we'll assume at 36, I would have a 15-year-old if I started young enough.
But I don't
would I
think
take my 12-year-old, 10-year-old to see this?
I guess I don't see that as my thing because I am still a consumer that will go and see Paddington Bear when it came into theater.
Well, so will I.
Or what's the most recent? I went and saw Wreck-It Ralph 2. I've seen the Harry Potter. All of those things.
Well, no, that goes without saying because we are currently in the middle of preparing for a convention that we're going to talk about in next week's podcasts. That those kinds of topics on how big of kids we are is going to come into full-fledged manifest. But it's Disney Disney wants to market to them though. Like, we may be an outlier of we're going to go see it regardless, but their goal is going to be
still kids.
Getting those kids. Those kids are going to recognize Will, and I can't remember who's playing Aladdin right now. I'll have to look it up, but is the name is there. Is it just going to be one of those, hey, before we go see that, let's go watch this, pop in a VHS and watch Robin sing Friend Like Me? are you going to set the kid up for failure or success? And you're like, okay, here's Robin. Now you go watch Will Smith floating around as a blue sassy genie. I'm just like, hey, what are we going to do? What's going on? Like, I just see it as a very, very interesting move, only because it seems, I don't want to say it's too soon, but because that becomes the next question of like, when's the cutoff? When do you want to remake a movie? What do you want to say? Like,
do you go Spider-Man franchise way of like the
every
last
2 years?
Yeah,
so
every 2 years
you don't lose your. Well, you don't want to lose your intellectual property. You have to spin a movie out every couple of years. I mean, I'm waiting for the next X-Men or X-Men-esque movie unless they sign over.
Dark Phoenix is coming out.
So that'll ensure that Fox maintains their stranglehold on the IP.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd get set back over to Marvel, and boy, Wolverine could actually be an Avenger. That'd be nice. But
all I'm saying is I will end. I guess I will end the topic of Robin Williams part of this as saying, honestly, the Genie was great, but my personal Robin Williams love comes from Batty and
Batty Coden, Fern Gully.
That is my original love for Mr. Williams and his voice acting.
Interesting. I remember watching Mork and Mindy and saying, like, running around and saying "nanu nanu" to my folks, and like I did not understand the show then because I was still a little young, obviously. But looking back at some clips and bits, and there's a really good part where he's reporting back to his homeworld and talking about depression. Mm-hmm. And it still comes up every now and then. Everybody's got a Facebook or Twitter or anything else. You'll see that quote come up every now and then. But it's just really freaking solid and kind of touches on, how people get lonely and how they deal with loneliness and stuff. But then when you look back on the fact that he's talking about that and ends up committing suicide, and because of depression and loneliness and such, it's creepy, eerie. It's one of those you don't know until it's too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nuts. So
I hope at the end of the day the movie does itself a justice of being a Disney movie, and B, bringing again some maybe full circle plot holes, fixing those based on Aladdin and things like that.
More world building maybe.
Right.
Oh no, not like Aladdin 2 that doesn't have and somebody else playing Genie. But he comes back in the third one. He does come back in the third one, but in the third animated. Anyway.
But no, I hope he does a good job, and I hope, even besides all these memes that are coming out, and I like to think that, yes, whereas we can get indignant or mad about how dare you try to fill Robin Williams' shoes, he would still be sitting back and going, no, good on you.
Go for it.
Go for it. And wanting us to be happy that Will Smith is doing it.
And I would agree with that. And it's still rough to look at it, and I guess that's some of our own privileges of seeing all that in the old fans. But if he was around today and was looking, maybe it's time to put a new spin on things. Maybe there's more information about this movie that we don't know, and more about it that's going to fill in, as you said, some of those plot holes, or maybe even give a different view to the story, or maybe a different dynamic between Jasmine and Aladdin, rather than just
damsel in distress.
Street rat boy, I'm going to say, because even then, she's kind of a damsel in distress, but who's going to play Raja? Anyway, that just about does it, unfortunately. Time limits and all. We're at the 40-something minutes, so yeah, thank you everyone for listening to us and joining us on this. We do have to do a special shout-out thank you to our friend Travis, one of the co-owners of Alliance South Michigan. He drew for us our lovely icon, our banner of the two fox faces, which is going to be a topic definitely that comes up next week as we prepare for, as I said, a convention. But it was really nice for him to do this for us. And we will get into LARPing conversation soon. Obviously, we're in a bit of an off season because of cold weather.
Yep.
We do live in the Midwest, and we do not enjoy running around and hitting each other with foam weapons.
That are frozen.
That are basically frozen. I mean, not joking, the last time we played a couple weeks ago in Michigan, just outside Ann Arbor, the weapons were falling apart because the duct tape was no longer sticking.
Correct.
And they just unraveled like a firework, just unspiraled and foam went everywhere, and it was awful. So once that gets underway, we'll get into some LARPy conversations. We'll get into next week's conversation, which we'll leave hanging on here. But obviously the icon that was written for us should definitely be a clue. And until then,
I am Dusty White.
And I am Dusty Red, and we will remind you that even though we may know a little bit more, we sure as hell don't know any better. Have a good night. Thank you for listening to Gray Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White. You can send questions and comments to us at graymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at graymuzzlegeek. We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Thank you once again, and see you next week.